We've been all subjected to a social experiment. Gone are the days of testing the limits of human minds in prisons. We are testing the limits of entire human beings in League solo queue. I think people know that if there is a single place in the entire gaming sphere which has the reputation for being the most toxic place in gaming history, it is League's solo queue. And players have been using it to prove that they are better than everyone else, which was eventually turned into a twist. It turns out, not all roles in League of Legends are equal. Sure, support is easier than jungle. Sure, mid lanes can carry their own games more often than top laners. And so the players simply stopped seeing every League of Legends challenger as equals. The first time this came into spotlight is when Tyler pulled off his challenger challenge. He got a challenger in every role, which means we were able to track how many games it takes for every role to hit challenger. Ignoring the season reset for top lane, top, jungle and mid all got there within about 1800 games, with support only taking him about 500 games. Proving that if someone just wants to get challenger, hypothetically, support should be the easiest way to do that. But unfortunately, in all of these stats, we've never seen the AD carry numbers. And that is simply because Tyler has been playing AD carry for about 15 years. Which means the number of games would be lower by default and it wouldn't really have any value. The thing is, unbeknown to us at that time, it seems like AD carries might be cursed. And so it's been a real shame we didn't get those numbers for that role. Or at least, that was the case until someone else picked up the challenge. There would be someone who would pick up the role of AD carry with the intention of climbing with it, which resulted in all hell breaking loose. And of course, we are talking about Dantes, who tried to pull it off. Now, Dantes has been on quite an interesting arc himself. For the longest time, I knew nothing about him. Anytime I knew anything that would come out, it would be the memes. And I don't think we want to talk about the Yordles. But eventually, as League's gameplay would become slightly more stale, people realized it was more fun to talk about what is happening around League of Legends. And so Dante started releasing his own videos where he talked about what Riot is doing with the game. He even gave his own opinion on the entire Hextech debacle. And I'll be honest, for someone whom I've only ever seen in the memes, it was wild to see Dantes give good criticism on how Riot screwed up. But also, he talked about how they could potentially do better. He wasn't just screaming, he wasn't losing it. He was just a moderately angry guy serving points. Mind-blowing stuff in today's internet. And so in his arc of not being the screaming meme kid, trying to improve and making sure he has credibility on the topics he's talking about, Dantes tackled a new challenge. You see, for years he always ridiculed bot lane. Specifically, he had a thing against AD carries. Every time there was a debate on what lanes should be changed, what should be altered or how the meta should be shaped, let's say he just never got on the same wave as AD carry mains. This could partially be because we are talking about a challenger hackerim, meaning that he does have experience with ganking different lanes, and so he likely knows that bot lane is most likely to call for help. But alas, Dante simply didn't agree with AD carries so much that he had a crash out and he became a meme. Now, I can't play the meme because there is quite a bit of swearing, but it all eventually comes to a single point. AD carries always complain that they are weak, all while, according to Dantes, every meta was AD carry meta, every objective was always focused around bot lane, everyone was always funneling AD carries, all of which results in AD carries being able to 1v9 most of their games. And that is all while they still all complain about buffs. Now on paper, he's not wrong. I mean, ADC comes from attack damage carry, a name that originally came from the fact that AD carries were weaker at the beginning, and it took them a while to ramp up so that they would be able to carry the game by the end. Of course, these days that's only half true. Most AD carries can also function as glass cannon assassins, but the core of this statement still stood. Dantes didn't believe that AD carries were justified to complain all the time. And to prove it, he went onto a challenge. He would pick up the AD carry role and he would get at least a master very easily. The context being that this comes from a former Hackerim challenger in all NA, EU West and Korea. It all started with him getting stuck in silver for a bit. At first he thought that all AD carries were building the same items because they didn't know what to do, so he started building different things and he started thinking outside of the AD carry box. He tried to essentially make a new meta work. But he was quickly met with the unfortunate truth. That is simply not how the AD carry is designed. The reason why every AD carry is building the same things is because that's how the best items are designed. There is simply an optimal way to deal damage on characters that are based around auto-attacking. And when it comes to the gameplay, you just farm bot because that's what a carry does. If you are ahead, you take a tower and you move to another lane so you can farm some more. And you farm until you are able to join the teamfights. In the simplest possible form, that's it. How do I know this? I play support. Been there, done that, or at least I saw that. And so Dantes just released a rant where he talked about all the problems AD carries have. First of all, everyone builds the same items because there is simply an optimal way to deal damage. But you are also not allowed to do anything outside of farming. If you leave your lane, there is a good chance you die. If your support leaves, there is a good chance you die. If your team is trying to secure a dragon, there is a good chance you die. What lane gets ganked the most? Bottom, because there are 2 targets for 2 kills and you are there, so there is a good chance you die. Which means that you are kinda left at the mercy of your support. The problem is, not only are you kinda screwed if your support is not great, but also supports are kinda the only ones having fun in the lane. Look, I main Vel'Koz, all I really need to do is to zap enemies with abilities. I think that's fun. I don't think it's fun to stare at health bars to make sure I last hit. And so, on his journey with the AD carry role, Dantes played about 600 games, and he came to this conclusion. I woke up this morning and realized I can't do this anymore. After 600 games, I quit. AD carry is the hardest role in the game. I was wrong about how they should itemize. Support mains are... we don't say that word here. 90% of jungle mains are even worse. I'm gonna use everything I've learned about what not to do as a jungler to level up my gameplay and see how far I can progress. To everyone who plays AD carry and had to read my tweets over the last few weeks, I'm sorry. To everyone who doesn't and still thinks what I said initially was correct, play it yourself and find out just how misinformed and privileged you truly are. And so Dantes proved us all that the legends are true. Different roles do have different levels of control over the games. Mid laners and junglers have just about the highest, top laners and supports are close behind, but unless you are the tippity top of the skill iceberg, AD carries might currently be the worst at winning. Although there is a very important thing we need to say. All of this was an experiment done by Dantes, who is a jungler. So who knows, maybe this would be the outcome with any lane that he would play. But what I am the most surprised by is the fact that he took this failure on the chin like a champ, and he is actually learning from it. Though I do think I know what the real point of failure was. He didn't play any Yordles.